And you are watching another edition of Blitz, another short film review from me this week, covering some bad play from the Jets. The theme is that the Jets are not the same Jets that they were.
What do you mean? Not the same team as what?
Well, we're not the same team as what everyone says, same old Jets. These guys are going to fight no matter what the situation is. There's no give up in them. I hate that term. And I really don't know what that term means, but I know this. They're not the same old Jets.
They are different. They are different. We will show how they've not been different. 0-3, the offense, the quarterback, skipping open guys, offense not being competent, the defense blowing assignments, the defense blowing tackles. This has been the same old Jets. Very first play of the game. And again, we'll start with the offense and we'll move into the defense. But you have a Yankee concept. You're going to have a stemmed over route here or a dig route from Garrett Wilson. You're going to have a post right here from the top. You have Garrett Wilson who comes wide open. This is a scripted play. It's something the Jets ran last week with Fields, and I believe they actually hit it last week. But you have a situation where Tyrod's first read, Garrett Wilson, to the bottom of the screen is NFL wide open. He is wide open. You want Taylor to drop back, read that safety. Safety stays high. You hit that crosser. If the safety drops down, okay, try to hit the post, but Garrett Wilson's open. You have Tyrod who's staring at him. His eyes then bounce to the flat, then bounce back vertically, doesn't throw the ball, ends up scrambling for, however many yards here. Let's call it 6 or 7, but a situation where you have Garrett Wilson wide open. This is a throw that at the NFL level, back of his dropper here, you got to hit. People are like, linebacker's in his face. Come on, guys. Garrett Wilson's wide open right now. Don't tell me he can't get this ball, fit this ball in there. So starting off the game with a not good play from Tyrod, which is not that surprising because he didn't play preseason. All right. This is later on in the same drive, 3rd and 4, get a penalty on Arian Smith on 2nd and 1, I believe, knocks him back a little bit. 2-yard run from Breece Hall, I believe. And now you have 3rd and 4. You get a called fade to Garrett Wilson. You have 3-by-1. I get it. Your superstar receiver isolated. You want him to make a play. 2 problems with this. One, Garrett Wilson is a very good receiver for many reasons. One of those reasons is not winning vertically and not winning contested catches. And don't give me the Texans play. I get it. There are flashes of it, but he lacks consistency as a contested catcher. So that's one. 2, even with that being said, there's an opportunity here to get a first down, or at least a better opportunity than Tyrod gives Garrett Wilson. You have the corner who plays this well. He's inside leverage. He's high. This is a ball you want to put to the sideline and back shoulder and throw it to the green grass and let Garrett Wilson come back to the ball and attack it. So here you want to put it at like the 13, the 12, the 11-yard line, back shoulder, if not even a little bit shorter, and let Garrett Wilson attack it. But look how far vertical he puts it. He gives Garrett Wilson absolutely no chance to convert, and now the Jets settle for a field goal. This play is the definition of the same old Jets. You got a pistol formation. You have an inside mid zone to the left, to our right, and all I want you to do is watch Jeremy Ruckert on this play. I don't know if he doesn't know the play. I don't know what exactly is going on here, but he picks his own man. You have a situation now where Fashanu gets bumped. Hassan Reddick has a much softer edge because of it, forcing the run to then cut back and Breece to really gain no momentum into the play and cut it back right into a unblocked defender on the backside because they're supposed to hit that front side quick. But when you have your own guy, quasi blocking you from getting out there, not even quasi blocking you from getting out there. I don't know what Ruckert's doing in terms of that step inside. You got to know the scheme. So this is looking quite a bit like the same old Jets to me. All right. Now the Jets are trying to drive down the field and get some points before the half. At this point, they're down 13-6, and we get a pick 6 from the Jets. We have Garrett Wilson to the bottom here, who runs it's a curl route or a stop. Yeah, curl. And you have Tyrod, who throws the ball late. Now there is some pressure there, but he stares at Garrett Wilson the entire time. Now he drops back. He reads the middle of the field. Now he's looking at Wilson, looking at Wilson, looking at Wilson, looking at Wilson. Steps up, avoids some pressure because of a poorly picked up blitz. Stares at Wilson, throwing up from an off platform, and a play that Wilson absolutely unequivocally needs to attack that ball. Knowing the situation, knowing how far that throw is, seeing Tyrod throw from an off platform, it's hard for him to see that realistically, but it's just a situation where, you don't have the most room in the world. You know that he did a good job breaking into the blind spot of that corner, but that ball is taking a while to get there. You have to attack it. You have to come back to the football. Don't give me the comments of that he shouldn't have, because he admitted it himself. And I came at him on Twitter and people were getting at me. It's like, listen, you're making $32.5 million a year. This is a ball where you need to start to play defender and get in the way of that. Also, with that being said, furthermore, not even just the Garrett Wilson part of it, if Tyrod is to recognize this blitz, and what you want to do is called, replacing the blitz, you want to replace that blitz with the route that's behind it. You have a blitz here from the corner to the bottom. You have Tyler Johnson on an over route who's wide open, and all you need to do is to wait for him to, come out of his break and start looking back to him and float him up the ball here. You could park a semi here. Past that, even if you don't throw it to Tyler Johnson, you have Mason Taylor wide open on a drag route from the opposite side of the field. You have two guys wide open, and Garrett's even open. The problem is then the blitz protection doesn't pick up the blitzer in time. And I believe this one is Simpson. We'll go to the other view. Yeah. So Simpson carries 95 inside, right? Or sorry, that's actually isn't Simpson. This is Brees. Okay. So he carries, Brees is just scanning. You like to see him be, again, there's a wide open B gap there. I would like to see him play a little bit more with a little bit more depth and under the center, but he kind of commits pretty early. Wide open B gap for 25, the blitz through, barely gets a hand on. Tyrod does a nice job avoiding him, but he's throwing from an off platform now. His feet are basically even, and now it's all generated from his upper body. Ball takes longer to get there. Pick 6 against the Jets offense. All right, last play from the offense. We have another play where Tyrod is staring down Garrett Wilson, who's to the top of the screen. He's running an out and up play at first, and we'll kind of talk about it a little bit. You have this safety taking a hard exit angle deep to get over top of Garrett Wilson. So it's something that if you're reading that side, and it's an isolated route for the most part, unless you want to count Mason Taylor or Jeremy Ruckert here. But it's a situation where once he drops back and he sees this corner or this DB gaining a lot of ground to get over top of Garrett Wilson, it's a bracket. Like they have two guys on him, so it's a play you want to see him come off quicker, and even at the bottom of the drop, he's still staring there. Come off with this read. You're not hitting Garrett here. It's just not a play that's going to happen. Get your eyes to Tyler Johnson, who's open on a crosser across the middle, and he doesn't hit him because he's not looking there because he's staring at Garrett Wilson again. Now he's feeling pressure because, Myers doesn't pick up a blitz overly well, or a stunt or a twist or whatever it is. We'll see from this other angle. But, he's staring at Garrett Wilson. Again, middle of the field. Now he's looking to Garrett Wilson. Doesn't come off of it quick enough. And look at Tyler Johnson over the middle. Look at this relationship. Get your eyes there. And I'm not one of those guys who, you see a lot of it on Twitter where guys just freeze frame. Oh my God, this guy is open. Like, you have to talk about the reads. You have to talk about the drop. You have to talk about a lot of things. You can't just freeze frame guys. That's like I call it freeze frame scouting. A lot of people do it, but not good here. You have Myers who oversets a little bit on 95, giving up that inside shoulder. David fills, so Tippin can't pick it up. Taylor steps up, but again, he takes the sack because he didn't get to Tyler Johnson. All right, this is one of the more gross plays you'll ever see on a football field from the defense in terms of pursuit. Put it out on Twitter. This is PB level pursuit from the Jets right here. With a swing screen to the running back, and I just want you to watch the over pursuit from. There's 5 or 6 guys who are at fault here. Just gross in terms of pause it here. Should he get out of this? Now, Carter does a good job playing outside in, so you give Carter credit there. You have Malachi Moore coming from deep right here, right? He over pursues it a little bit. I'm not going to kill him too much, but flat-footed, gets beat inside pretty badly. You have Sherwood, who plays at a very, very high angle. I think the biggest culprit of this is Quincy. Quincy is, for whatever reason, is taking a very high angle, anticipating him taking it vertically, but you have 2 guys here, so play it a little bit more underneath. That's a terrible angle. You got Phillips right here who is jogging at a high angle, way too high of an angle. Where are you? What are you trying to do here, Phillips? You're way too high. And then you got Clemens who's coming from the backfield, showing good effort, but the anticipatory angle here of this receiver or the running back cutting the run back inside is awful. Look how late he is to react to him jump cutting inside. Talking about big ships turn slow. Look, Michael Clemens is that big ship turning slow. Like, what? Look at this freeze frame. How does he get out of this? Just abysmal football from the Jets defense at times this year. All right, another play. This one's of a blown defense from Quincy. The Jets drop into like an inverted cover two with Michael Carter II actually dropping into a deep half. You got Tampa from, I believe that's Malachi Moore right here, who's playing in the Tampa, just matching anything from the strong side that's going vertical, and more into like the middle of the field. And then you have a situation where Quincy is just covering grass. There's so much spot dropping from the Jets here. So you got, curl to flat, you got hook to curl right here. And you have Sauce who passes off the slant because he's responsible for the, maybe it's not Sauce, sorry, that's actually Stevens. He's responsible for the curl to flat. So he's going to take this defender or this offensive player because he becomes the offensive player who is threatening the flat, passes off the slant to Quincy Williams, and Quincy Williams just spot drops and just stares at the quarterback the entire time. Never finds it, never matches it. He actually ends up reacting into the flat a little bit for whatever reason because Sauce is there, and you have a receiver who's wide open over the middle on 3rd and 8. It's a pitch and catch. What are we doing here? All right, I do want to remind you guys about halfway through this review, like, comment, subscribe. The comments help. The algorithm helps us get out to more people. The more people we get out to, more subscribers, all that stuff helps us out. So we'd greatly appreciate it. Comment what you want to see next week. I'm assuming winning football. Check out me on Twitter, JoeRB31. Check out the site with all of our great writers, Nanya, Sabo, MV Works. All right, another play, or I'm just going to freeze frame it. This is a blown defense. It's hard to even tell exactly what they're trying to do here because it's just a straight up blown defense. Again, now it's 3rd and 9. Let me freeze frame it. Does this look right? We got 4 defenders in a triangle right here within however many yards. You got three threats here to the bottom of the screen versus 2. Okay. Let's say that Baker were to pump this or look or whatever else it is. This is absolutely wide open. And, obviously if he starts looking this way, maybe he starts to match whatever it is, but it doesn't make sense in terms of 2 on 3. You got 4 just covering grass with a 5-yard hitch route from a slot receiver just uncovered. Nobody's covering him. What is going on here? Not the same old Jets, my ass. Okay, for some of these plays, maybe Sam will do it. Maybe you need some circus music in the background. Just
I really don't know what that term means, but I know this: they're not the same old Jets. And listen, we know we have work to do. And I said this before, this is not an instant coffee team. Right? This is a team that's going to continue to keep stacking until we get to where we need to get to.
We have a 33 run by Baker Mayfield, fake toss to the left, bootleg to the right. In a situation for Clemens, who's on the end of the line right here, versus tight end, you got to have awareness. This tight end is blocking me inside. He's probably rolling out. So that's one. Okay, he engages. The problem here with Clemens is instead of trying to contain the run and getting outside and over top of this, he just tries to push right through it. Just his pure brute strength that he has. He's just going to rush right through this right through the offensive player, the tight end, instead of getting over the top. You're talking about your D end getting locked up by a tight end, absolutely locked up. And then on top of that, you have, and let me pause it here. In pursuit right here, you have Brandon Stevens who trips over the receiver and takes out Malachi Moore. So then you have 2 guys who aren't involved in the play, and it becomes much bigger. Where here he probably gets tackled, and you live to fight another down, and hopefully you could stop him from getting a field goal. But they take each other out because one guy trips, which it's understandable. It happens. Feet get tied up, but come on, man. All right. End of the game here. And again, talk about same old Jets. Jets get a big score. Obviously you get Will McDonald who blocks that field goal and all that stuff. And here we are, on the first play, once we kick the ball off, and Malachi Moore here almost gets toasted for almost a 70-yard touchdown. Jets are in quarters, so he's matching anything vertical from the number 2. Number 2 takes it vertical. That's going to be his responsibility. If he breaks it, just straight. If he breaks it just vertically or maybe even outside, you have Azaria Thomas, who may match it, but he's passing it off to Malachi because he's not sure what this receiver is going to do. So you have Malachi, who's one-on-one with this receiver at this point, basically with some outside help. So if anything, you want to play it a little bit more high into the inside. And secondarily, look how flat his feet are. You have a guy who's running full speed at you. He's within 5 yards, and you're not moving. You're unless you can make contact with him, he's gonna run right by you no matter where he goes because you're not giving yourself like a buffer by being flat-footed. Gets us to the outside, nod to the outside, gets toasted. Should be a 68, 67-yard touchdown that Baker Mayfield ends up overthrowing. Luckily, maybe actually not even luckily, because maybe the Jets get the ball back and score, but 3 more plays on the review. These are all from the last drive where the Jets are just allowing chunk yardage. And you got a few guys who just don't look like they know what their defense is doing. Looks like you got a quarters look to the top of this, so you have a situation where, again, the one breaks out. So now the two breaks out. So the two becomes the one and the one becomes the two. So you have Cisco, who's going to have to match anything vertical from the inside. And he just plays with terrible leverage here. You have an outside stem here. He needs to start to shuffle, to weave, to get over the top of this route concept. He plays it way too far inside, and now it's a situation where he's completely outflanked to the side. So even though he jumps on it pretty well, he puts himself out of position just based on his leverage, and you have him beat by Ibuka for 28 yards here. And then also something else I want you to notice here on the bottom here is Malachi Moore ends up taking a little bit of an exit angle and getting wide, but he passes off this over route, this over slice route, and he's passing off to nobody because Cisco's on this receiver. So who was even guarding 19 here either? So you have 2 guys who could have beat you there. 28 yards, pitch and catch, way too easy for the Bucs offense. All right, I'm gonna do one more play from this last drive. I don't like the call from the Jets. I get blitzing. The problem with this, to me, is you have 2 high over 3. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the line of scrimmage. You have a Bucs team who's been running successful screens all day, and the Jets not being able to tackle. So, to me, okay, I'm okay with sending even 7, but one of these guys has to drop out and not make this a 3-on-2 situation. They all blitz. Okay. They run it's a quasi smoke. A smoke is truly like 1 step. This is 3 steps in back and called a smoke, I guess, from Sterling Shepard. In that situation where you got 2v2 and wide open grass, Brady McGregor takes a too flat of an angle. Again, you have to anticipate him taking off, vertically here because he is. And McGregor barely gets a hand on. Like the tackle attempt here is just throwing the hand out, being way too high. And slipping over the top of his back. Take an angle to where he's going here. He's too flat, gets a hand on, and now you have, again, an easy completion for plenty of yards, and the Bucs end up kicking the game-winning field goal because of this. But the tackle attempt is piss poor by McGregor, and even if he made the tackle at the 30, but I don't like the defensive call just basically gifting them a free 20 yards here. So that's the review. I appreciate you guys. Hopefully this gets better and I don't have to keep doing bad reviews, but it's all that's really on tape at this current moment. So with that being said, I appreciate you. Jets X Factor, Joe RB31 on Twitter, all of that stuff. I'll see you guys next week.